Hello and good evening to you all. My name is Shashank Singh and I am here to discuss another session of Daily News Simplified, an answer to what, why and how of newspaper analysis from the perspective of UPSC examination. So for today's session, we have taken up 6 news articles, 3 from mains perspective and 3 from prelims perspective. So for mains perspective, we have taken up the vulnerabilities of India's elderly, the concept of constitutional morality, and an article which is based on the suggestions related to what should be the roadmap for India's economy. For prelims perspective, we have taken up the direct seeded rice DSR, a question based on Antarctic Treaty, and a question based on a special category status to the states. So let us begin our discussion with the first article of today's session, that is the vulnerabilities of India's elderly. Now, as the name suggests, this article dwells upon the various issues that are faced by the elderly population in India. So, for this, authors have emphasized on the composition of Indian population, and they have taken report of longitudinal aging survey of India, that is LASI 2017-18, which was conducted by Ministry of Health. Now, according to this report, at present, the population of India's elderly, that is people who are more than 60 years of age, it stands at 10%. But by 2050, projections suggest that it is going to be 20% of the population. Now, according to authors, there are 4 key pillars of the vulnerabilities that are faced by the elderly population in India. The first is the basic one, that is restrictions related to daily living activities. Now, daily living activities, simple: bathing, eating, going for a walk, taking their medicine, or wearing clothes. Anything can be included into daily living activities. So, age related issues, the physical attributes, and the health uh, imperatives, they act as a restriction for these daily living activities. Secondly, they talk about the income. Practically, the income source get diminished, and most of the poor in India, around 18.7% of them, are practically having no income at all. While another issue they have highlighted is the multi-morbidity in the old age. Now, fourth and last, due to this lack of income sources, the persistent poverty that is being faced by the elderly in India. And according to the LASI survey, more than 40% of the elderly population is facing poverty, and they form the lowest quintile of the poverty bracket in India. So these are the 4 pillars. But what is interesting that has been highlighted by this article, authors have a viewpoint that they say the present generation or the prospective old age people of future are better equipped. They are at advantage because they are getting better education, they have a better economic opportunities, plus they have better resources to prepare themselves for the old age. However, they say that these merits somehow may impact one attribute. And what is it? They say that with all such advantages, longevity is going to increase. The average age is going to increase. And with this longevity, this older population is going to face the chronic health issues. So authors suggest that we must, this is the right time that we must design our policy and we must focus on the prospective elderly population and not just present elderly population. We should be, you may say, conscious enough to design our policy and implement our policy so that this present generation, which is going to be elderly, should not suffer with the disadvantage or challenges that the present generation is facing. So in order to for this, they have given a suggestion that surveys like LASI and United Nations Population Fund Survey India Aging Report, these data can help the policy makers to assess and formulate targeted policies. Like they have highlighted that there is a feminization of aging because women have a longer average life than men. So they say, and there is a ruralization of poverty, that there are more poor in rural area, more elderlies in rural area rather compared to urban areas. So they say that these data and these findings can be utilized to create more objective and more prudent policies for the future generations. So in this discussion, we will be taking up the challenges related to the elderly population in India. What are the government initiatives? What else can be done? So why we have taken up this article? Because of your GS syllabus, which says that welfare schemes for vulnerable sections and mechanism, laws, institution and bodies constituted for protection and betterment of vulnerable section, as well as GS paper 2 for social issues talks about the population and associated issue, and definitely we are moving towards slowly, but ultimately we are moving towards with the population mix where aged people will be more like in developed countries. So this topic also relates to the population and associated issues. Further, if you will see in 2020, UPSC has asked a question based on this topic, that in order to enhance the prospect of social development, sound and adequate healthcare policies are needed, particularly in the fields of geriatric and maternal health. So, elderlies and maternal health. And they have asked you to discuss this. So, let us begin our discussion with taking up the challenges faced by the elderly population in India. And first is the ageism. Now, what is ageism? Now, ageism refers to the stereotypes and prejudices that lead to discrimination. And what is the basis of these stereotypes and prejudices? Basis is age itself, where we term the person who is older or who is elderly, we look at them as non-productive entity, and we more rather than looking at them person who needs care and constant support, they become liability for someone. So with this attribute, this stereotypes kind of creates a discrimination against them, and it is based on age. So moment you will see an elderly person, the first thing comes to the mind that no, this person is not productive and more of a liability. It is more so in the present social milieu and family structure, because you know that traditionally Indian society had a characteristic of joint families where these elderly people were getting good quality care and attention of their family member. Now, nuclearization has increased. Nuclear family have become more dominant, especially in urban areas. From the rural areas, the youth, in absence of employment, the gainful employment, they have migrated towards urban area, leaving their elderly or dependents behind. So what happens that this seclusion or this of them being left behind or not being entertained in the joint family or in a nuclear family, it leaves them on their own. So this news article also highlights that there are many houses in urban area also where only elderly couple are living, with their next generation has moved out, either moved out of the city or moved out of that house altogether. So when the care is most needed, nobody is there to care for them. So this is another challenge: the rise of nuclear families and rise of migration from urban to rural area. Then the next challenge is the oldest. In this segment also there is a horizontal discrimination. Now those who are of the age 80 plus, now they are the most vulnerable because they require the maximum amount of constant care and help. But this section of population faces severe, you may say, hurdle, or you may say they face destitution, and most of the time their health issues related to the chronic ailment like heart issues, cancer, and diabetes, all these issues have made them a burden altogether for the families. And at this point of stage, when they require the medical assistance, the most of the medical assistance, most of the insurance companies do not cover people of these age. So that lands them into high out of pocket expenditure zone, and this high out of pocket expenditure again reinforces the notion of them being a liability rather than a resource to a family. Then comes the other section, the elderly women. Now elderly women in general, if you will talk about, they face discrimination throughout their life in one form or the other form. Now elderly women is the, you can call it the culmination or zenith of the discrimination altogether. Now if a woman is not having right or control over the ancestral property, then that woman has to take participation in various household chores just to prove her relevance to the family. Otherwise she will be conveniently sidelined. Now they will not be involved in any recreational activities, all kind of discrimination they will face. And due to longevity, what this Lassie report found, that more than 50% of the elderly women are widowed. So they don't have their companion altogether. So they are truly dependent on the next generation. So in order to prove their relevance, in order to prove their utility for the family, they have to involve, they have to involve into various works which is not in line with their physical capacity and health. Then comes the economic challenge. Now, in India, the general retirement age is 60. Now, this retirement gives a sense of loss of identity altogether for these elderly people. Now, as I told you, more than 40% of the elderly population, it forms the lowest quintile of the poor in India. So if 100 elderly are there, 40 belong to the below poverty line category. So another, I told you, 18.7% don't have any income source at all. So these are some economic challenges related to their accessibility and their income. Now comes another part. Government has come up with several schemes, various programs which act as social security net, but most of them have no access to it at all. They either they don't know about it, or they are unable to reach out to authorities to gain some benefit out of these schemes. So these are the economic challenges that they are facing because of the loss of income and loss of identity post retirement period. Now, all these issues culminate into them being, as I told you, 50% of elderly women are widowed. Now, most of the elderly person are widowed, both male and female. So that companionship is missing from their life. I told you loss of identity after retirement, after getting retired from the job. When clubbed with this loss of companionship, the emotional support that they used to get is missing, and they feel alienated from others in the family, which culminates into several mental health issues. Now, mental health issues, these are stigma for the younger population in India. Think about the elderlies. They are completely neglected first, or if they want to get treated, they will not speak up to their family because of the fear that they will be thrown out, because that would be an added burden. So most of them remain in such conditions without getting any kind of healthcare assistance or any kind of uh, psychological assistance. So these issues culminate into the emotional and mental health issues. Next comes, we are talking about mental health and emotional health. Let's talk about the healthcare. Now, there is an acute shortage of dedicated geriatric healthcare. There are no specialized institution, or there are very less of them. So whatever is there, it is way too costly to cater the entire population. Now, we have seen that high out of pocket expenditure, chronic ailment like diabetes, heart related issues, arthritis, cancer, they require a consistent and accurate healthcare intervention. But either these healthcare are non accessible, or if they are present there, they are way too costly to get benefit of. Now, lastly comes the technology. Now, you might have seen the elderly people in your house. Now is the age of social media, computer, and all those things. Now, they are not that equipped with these technologies or use of these technologies. Exception can be there, but mostly we are talking in general terms. So, kind of alienation to them. They cannot connect with other people what they are doing. Additionally, this exposure to mobile telecommunication has exposed them to various kind of cyber fraud also. So they are the number one victim of these cyber crimes. So this is again a challenge, because in just a click or within a moment of few minutes, their entire savings get wiped out. So these are the broad challenges that are faced by the elderlies in India, and more or less these are the challenges that has been highlighted in the article also. So what government has done, we have provided these scheme in the PDF. You can read them in detail. I'm just taking names of these initiative. First is the Senior Care Aging Growth Engine, that is STAGE project. Second is Senior Citizen Welfare Fund. Third is Rashtriya Vayoshri Yojana. So these are some major initiative that has been taken by the government to assist to provide the social security net for the elderlies. However, as we discussed that due to lack of awareness, about the technologies, most of the elderlies are unaware of how to use such technologies and how to take benefit of such technologies, and a very small proportion of their population is getting benefit of such government initiatives. So in order to improve the situation, the draft national policy for senior citizen 2020 had made the following recommendation, and you can relate these recommendation with the various challenges that we have discussed. So first is productive aging. Now what is productive aging? Now if you have equipped yourself with a good health, or good learning, you can do few things after getting retired. So first suggestion that this draft national policy has given is the retirement age should be increased from 60 to 65, because the average age is growing. So most of the people, most of the research papers have found that the functioning of people is equally good at the age of 65 as is the case with 60. And it is true, because we have various constitutional posts where we have retirement age of 65 or even more than that. So this is a very obvious choice that one can do to provide safety to the elderlies in India. Now the second option is second life career. Now these people have their own share of experience in their life, like they have worked in their respective field, they have their experiences which we can utilize to enrich the knowledge of the coming generation. They can be involved as a consultant in various government organization, they can be involved in schools to teach or to tell students with the tool of active learning through their experiences, sharing their experiences. Now, another important thing, as this article also highlights, that we must prepare the prospective elderly population. So that is the third suggestion, that we must need to create awareness in people in younger age group about old age planning, the health related you may say planning, uh, practicing yoga, savings, all those things. We must create a better awareness in youth so that we can prepare prospective elderlies for the challenges ahead. Next, they say that multi generational and intergenerational bonding should be increased, for which they have suggested that Maintenance of Senior Citizen Act should be amended to make it compulsory for the next generation to take care of them if they want an inheritance. So, what you have seen in movies, that people will not give their property to their son on the pretext that they have not taken good care of them. So it is similar suggestion that make it compulsory, otherwise you will be out of the equation of inheritance. Another, the suggestion is promotion of NGOs and community based organization to work for the old age population. Now comes the second part, the economic security, because we saw that economic challenges are the, you can say, the root cause of all the problem. That dependence on other creates the hurdle. So the concept of silver economy, which focuses on developing financial products for old age needs. Another thing, the senior friendly tax structure should be promoted. Now comes the healthcare, because we have seen the challenges related to healthcare. So they have asked for the universalization of healthcare, especially for the old age population, and they should be covered under the Ayushman Bharat scheme. Further, they have said that greater attention on addressing non communicable diseases with which old age people suffer disproportionately, like diabetes, like arthritis, all these kind of non communicable disease should be focused more upon. Then increased research and investment in setting up old age homes, geriatric care, and specialized professionals who can address the needs of the elderly. It should not be a generalistic hospital or a treatment home. Next come the, because we have seen that elderly females, because there is a feminization of elderly population. So we must focus, we must pay a special focus on elderly females also, by increasing the pension and the drive for ensuring that they have access to government schemes, because I told you that access to government scheme is very, very low. Now, innovations in old stage. Now, startups work, there are startups which are working on developing tools for elderly, and these startups need to be promoted. And special tools such as hearing aids and other prosthetics must be much more accessible. So, that is, they are asking to make them cheaper. Lastly, they say that applications for the old age population can be developed so that they can have a better access and better utilization of the technology. Now, that's all from the first article. Let's come to the second article that featured on page number 8 of the Hindu newspaper. And it reads like, constitutional respect should not be reduced to optics. Now, in this article, author has said that during um, the ceremony after the NDA gained power for the first time, Prime Minister just lifted the constitution, and he kind of bowed down in front of constitution. So he says that rather than focusing on such optics, we must focus on the real principle of constitutional morality. And in this article, author has said that um, there are many instances which can be attributed, which can be termed as disregard to the constitutional morality. And here he has given several examples like misuse of agencies, the appointment of various important posts, including the National Security Advisor (NSA), without the clearance of the Cabinet Appointing Committee, and disregard to opposition and debates in passing the bill, etc., etc. So we will cover the concept of constitutional morality. What is it? Because the author is saying that rather than getting involved into optics by touching the constitution on your forehead and all those things, rather you should respect the concept of constitutional morality in letter and spirit. Why we have taken up this article? Because the features of Indian constitution has been mentioned in your syllabus, and more so, this particular term has already been asked twice in your previous year UPSC examination. In 2019, they have asked a direct question based on your understanding about the term constitutional morality. And secondly, in 2021 also, they have asked a question based on constitutional morality. So, what is constitutional morality? Now, if you will go by the definition, it is they refer to the guiding values which are enshrined in the constitution, and these guiding values, the guiding values that must be protected, so that to uphold the integrity of the Constitution of India. So, constitutional morality refers to the guiding values which are core essence of the Constitution or the integrity of the Constitution of India. Now, just to understand this, we will simplify this understanding that what are those core values. You all have gone through preamble. So, there we have listed the core values, that liberty, equality, justice, fraternity. All these keywords are the core values of the Constitution. So these are the guiding principles of the Constitution. Now, if you will refer to Dr. Bhimrao Ambedkar, he terms constitutional morality as a mean to achieve amicable solution between the confronting section of the population. Now, understand this with one simple example. Now, you might be aware of the Sabrimala temple case. Now, there were various opinions in favor of the judgment, in favor of women being allowed to for the worship, or against the for the women to be allowed for the worship. There can be multiple views. What constitutional morality says, that this is public morality, this is public view, this is majoritarian view. But constitutional morality says there should be justice, there should be equality. So here the term equality and justice is constitutional morality. You can have multiple opinion, you have all right to put it further, but it should come in line with what constitution, the real essence of constitution has to say. So that is why the judgment came on the basis of constitutional morality, that on the basis of these core values we cannot discriminate. We must give justice. We must preach equality. So this is constitutional morality, the core principles in the constitution. Now the term constitutional morality has not been mentioned anywhere in the constitution. But if you will go and look at article 19, 25 and 26, you will find that the term morality is in conjunction with public order. For public order, morality, these two words are in conjunction. So constitutional morality has not been mentioned. It is similar to what the basic structure doctrine is. So basically it is core value. So if a law is there, you are not bound to follow the law just because it is a legal text. You should follow a law, you should follow a provision because it is morally correct. This is constitutional morality. So you may argue so many things for and against the Sabrimala verdict, but the constitutional morality says that no, justice, liberty and equality should be the basis of the judgment. The judgment should not be guided by the public perception. So this is the concept of constitutional morality. To summarize, they refer to the guiding values as enshrined in the constitution that must be protected to preserve the integrity of the real essence and integrity of the Constitution of India. So what is the significance? First is that because you have come up with your own argument in favor and against of any case, but court is questioning your argument, that what is the basis of your argument, because court will test this argument on the basis of the value, the core values of the constitution. So it kind of instill a sense of civic responsibility. So in long run, you will be accustomed, kind of, it is evolving process through these judgment. It will instill a sense of civic responsibility that what we believed till date is not correct, is not in sync with the essence of the constitution, and constitution is questioning your version. It is not just questioning your version, it is also questioning government also. It is preventing them from taking arbitrary action because it is questioning them too. So it is kind of establishment of rule of law. Secondly, it is important because it strikes a balance between freedom and restraints. So you have all the freedom to listen to the music, but you don't have any freedom to disturb your neighbor. This is just a crude example to understand the balance between freedom and restraint. So it ensures that balance, that okay, you have freedom, but it is qualified, not absolute. And that qualification will be based on the notion of constitutional morality, the core essence of the constitution of India, the core values. Next is, it provides guidance in decision making where the constitution is silent, or grants discretionary power. So as I told you, it is similar to what we call the doctrine of basic structure, because whenever the constitution is silent upon anything, they can resort to this constitutional morality concept to take a decision. Okay, there are several arguments. Constitution is silent, but this is what the Constitution core value has to say about the matter, and they will take decision accordingly. So discretionary power will be checked, and this silence or this vacuum will be filled. Next is, it ensures the principle of non-discrimination, as we have seen in our discussion. Now we have listed some cases. I will take up this Navtej Johar versus Union of India, 2018, the decriminalization of adult consensual sex, Article 377. Now, court specifically opined that the decision of court should not be guided by the public morality or the majoritarian view. So, here court did two things. First, it separated constitutional morality from public morality. And it says, in case of conflict between public morality and constitutional morality, because most of the section of population were against the scrapping of Article 377. They were of the view that it is against the morality of the society. So they said, whenever the public morality will come in conflict with the constitutional morality will prevail, so that the diversity can be protected and everyone can have the equal pedestal to enjoy their meaningful life. Another example is Union of India versus Government of NCT, where it was ruled that high-ranking official must adhere to constitutional morality and uphold the ideals outlined in the Constitution to prevent arbitrary use of authority. Again, the checks and balances. In Joseph Shine versus Union of India, the idea, the prevailing notion, what you can call the public morality, was of the opinion that husband is a master of women. Court opined otherwise, that no, this is not true. So again, constitutional morality prevailed over the public morality. So what are the criticism? What are the challenges? First lies in the lack of literature and clarity on the concept. So there I mentioned that it has not been mentioned in our constitution. So it left opens the discretion of judges involved in the cases. So on one hand, you are striking a balance, but on another hand, due to lack of literature and clarity, you are giving a scope of discretion, which is unchecked. Then comes the judicial supremacy and activism. Yes, it encourages both of them. Thirdly, when in this top-down approach, morality is coming from higher judiciary to lower level, then definitely the people will have a distrust towards the executive and legislature, because they have not elected judges. Court is an autonomous body which has not been elected by people. Now you are rejecting or you are quashing the orders of government. This top-down approach may create a long-term distrust between the voters, that people who I voted for are of no use. They are making such policies which are being scrapped persistently by the court. Thirdly, the term that we have already discussed, that constitutional morality over public morality. Now, Article 19, it gives power to legislature and executive to provide for qualified restrictions on fundamental right. But here, judiciary is performing this function. So this is against the separation of power, as well as, again, you are consistently putting constitutional morality over public morality. And what would be the outcome? That again and again, take example of Sabrimala. After the judgment, there was a huge uproar from priests, the local communities, and several section of population, because they perceive it as an infringement on culture and ways of their living. So definitely when you will consistently give weightage, or you will consistently give primacy to constitutional morality, there would be disharmony in the society, there would be grudges in the society, and because they are perceiving it as infringement on their culture and ways of living. So to summarize, in short run, it may create some problems like this, the uproar, the dissatisfaction. But in long run, what we need is the prevailing of the constitutional values, the ethos of the constitution. That is the solution in long run. And to summarize it, that we must adhere to the constitutional morality in order to gain whatever we want to gain, or whatever we want to see India like by the year 2047. So that's all from this discussion. Let's come to the third article of today's session, and it reads like, let's do 1991 without a crisis. And it appeared on page number 9. So in this article, author is saying that India is pushing hard to achieve the status, or to achieve the position of self reliance, the vocal for local, Atmanirbhar Bharat. And for this, India is focusing more on the domestically grown goods and domestically produced goods, and an export led economy, that it wants to become export hub of the world. And it has brought in various schemes like PLI and PMP, that is perform phased manufacturing program. All these schemes are there to promote this thing. But author has a different view. Author says that this focus on domestic manufacturing and import substitution, that you are moving away from import, is not in sync with your target of achieving $2 trillion import export by 2030. And why? Because author says that our bag of import and export are interdependent. So here in this table you can see that what we are exporting. We are exporting petroleum product, we are exporting engineering goods, we are exporting gems and jewelry, we are exporting organic, inorganic, chemical, drug, pharmaceutical, electronic goods, and rice. But for this petroleum product, what we need is petroleum crude, which we are importing. For manufacturing electronic and engineering goods, we need electronic good. We are dependent on the semiconductors. For gems and jewelry, we are dependent on import of gold, pearls, and precious stones. So basically, what author says, that if you will put higher tariff on import, you are basically taxing your exports, because these products that you are importing are key ingredient for manufacturing, for the commodities that you are manufacturing here. So if you will put higher tariff, if you will tax the import, you are ultimately making your produce costlier, and you are taxing your own exports. And for which he compares it with 1991, and he says, and that is what the title is all about, let's do 1991 without a crisis. So he says, in 1991 what happened? We moved from economic isolationism to multilateralism through our LPG reforms. So before that, we, on the pretext of nascent economy, we were apprehensive of opening up the economy for the globalized world. So here we decided for the first time in the year 1991 to open it towards multilateralism. Now what happened? India signed various FTAs, that is free trade agreements, with countries like, with groupings like ASEAN, European Union, countries like Australia. So we have signed various FTAs But these free trade agreements have impacted India negatively to an extent that Asian Development Bank has given a data, and it said that India utilized less than 25% of its potential of export through these FTAs. So what India, let's say India could have gained around 100 rupees with export, it has not been able to earn even 25 rupees out of those exports. And what are the reason behind this, that India is not gaining much from this free trade agreement? This article has listed several reasons. First is that such FTAs have a limited impact on exports. And it says that FTAs can open new commercial opportunities for enhancing India's export of goods and services. However, the incremental gain in export on account of FTAs would be rather limited. Understand this with one example. Now, United Kingdom's Department of Trade projected that an FTA between India and UK will see a rise in export from India to the value $1 billion by 2035. Fine, that it is going to help. It will help in increasing the export by $1 billion. But interesting thing is, it is a very meager amount considering the present export value, which stands at $776 billion, and that too in 2035. We are standing here in 2024. So after 11 years, you are going to add 1 billion. This is the incremental value, which is very low in $776 billion. So FTAs generally are not that incremental, not adding that value to the India's kitty. Second, there are new tariffs also, like carbon border tax. And this article says that enhanced prospect of export arising from FTAs with UK or EU could remain a pipe dream, as they would get largely curtailed on account of other tariffs like carbon border tax. So edge is again gone. Your manufactured product would be much costlier. Now there are issues which are related to non-tariff dimension also. And they say that FTAs are no longer mainly about trade flows. They are also covering provisions of large number on non-trade issues at the instances of developed countries, like non-trade issues like labor, environment, gender. On those front, you are going to be trapped. You all might have heard about the sanitary and phytosanitary measures. And now India agri products are routinely subjected to high non-tariff barrier in form of standards. Export growth of chilies, basmati, milk, poultry, bovine meat, fish and dairy product, they all face this sanitary and phytosanitary measures. So for this, author says that we need to open up our economy. Don't tax your imports, because you are ultimately ending up making your exports costlier, which are already facing these barriers. So making your export even costlier is not a wiser decision. So that is what the article is all about. Let us move on to the prelim section of today's session. And the first news article, which featured on page number 10 of the Indian Express newspaper, and this is based on the one technique, agricultural technique, which is direct seeded rice, that is DSR. And as the name suggests, if you have visited any rice farm field, you might be aware of the fact that there are seedlings which are grown in nursery, and once they grow up to a certain size, they are transplanted to the main field, the flooded water field. Now, this direct seeded rice is the conventional method which we all know about, the seed broadcasting method, where seeds are directly drilled in the soil, the rice seeds. So, as the name suggests, growing rice from seeds sown in the ground as opposed to transplanting seedlings from the nursery, and it is known as broadcasting seed technique. Now, UPSC has been asking question based on various agricultural technique. As in 2020, they have asked a question based on zero tillage in agriculture. So we have curated a similar question on the direct seeded rice technique. So before that, let us see the advantage of DSR. First is the water efficiency. It saves around 25% of water. Next is low labor cost, because earlier you need to have one set of labor in nursery, then another set to transplant these. So it reduces labor requirement by eliminating nursery raising, uprooting seedling, and transplanting and puddling. It improves soil quality also, because puddling creates a hard pan, which you do in conventional rice sowing practice, and destroys soil aggregates, dispersing small clay particle and rupturing capillary pores. So definitely these processes are not involved in this method, so it will help in improving soil quality, and it has a high fertilizer in efficiency. So Punjab government is pushing hard uh, to farmers to opt for this uh, technique, and people from Punjab can tell the exact pronunciation. It is tarvatar, I guess. This technique locally known as tarvatar, and Punjab government, due to these benefits, is pushing hard to farmers to opt for this technique, because it has several economic benefit also, because it has a earlier maturity period, which is 7 to 10 days earlier than the conventional method, which helps in timely sowing of succeeding crops. So let us take today's question. You have to find the correct answers. First says it saves water as compared to traditional. It is correct. It improves soil quality. Yes, because it is not it. It doesn't involve the process of puddling, and it has early maturity. This is also correct. So our answer would be D. That is 1, 2, 3. The next question is based on this news article, which featured on page number 8 of the Hindu Express. Now, recently, the 46th Antarctic Treaty consultative meeting was held in Kochi. Main agenda was to frame a regulation for tourism in Antarctic area. But as we know, this is a complex area, and the only example where international consensus is there to preserve the environment and not to use it for narrow anthropogenic uses. So ultimately, due to the complexity of nature and technical issues, this convention failed to reach to a agreed formula. So there is no regulation. No regulation came out of this conference, and it ended up without having any guidelines related to tourism in Antarctica. Now, the protocols and various agreements, multilateral agreements, are important theme from the perspective of UPSC examination, as they have asked in 2015 that convention associated with ozone depleting substances. So we have taken up a question based on the Antarctic Treaty, and you have to find the correct answer. So before that, we must look into the basics related to Antarctic Treaty. It was signed in Washington, and 12 country originally signed it. India was not a member. So those countries whose scientists had been active in and around Antarctica during the International Geophysical Year of 1957-1958. So a consensus was built up that this should be used for scientific research purpose and peaceful purpose, and this treaty came into force in 1961, and it has been joined by several countries, including India, and now the member parties are 57. So these are the 12 countries who you can term as founding member: Argentina, Australia, Belgium, Chile, France, Japan, New Zealand, Norway, South Africa, United Kingdom, United States, and erstwhile Soviet Union, and Russia, present day Russia. So USSR was founding member, Russia is present member. So what this treaty focuses on, as I told you, that this area should not be used for military purposes. It should be only used for peaceful purposes. Second, there is complete freedom of scientific investigation. No other, the mineral exploration and all those things cannot be done. And this investigation is free for everyone. These investigation and findings are accessible to anyone. Thirdly, there should be no territorial claim related to Antarctica. It was put on hold. Fifth, which is very important point, this no test, nuclear test or dumping of radioactive waste would be there in Antarctica. And one more thing which is very important, it applies to land and not the seas. So the mainland Antarctica is covered by the this treaty and not the surrounding water. And another important thing is all stations are open to inspection by other nations. So you can inspect another country's station to find whether if they are not involved in some ulterior activities. That national laws are applied to citizen and not to areas. So those who are there, if Indian citizen is there, their national law will apply to citizen only, not to the area. You cannot claim that my country provides this right and that duty in Antarctica. Ninth, the treaty may be modified at any time. What it requires is an anonymous agreement of treaty nations. So all have to agree on modification. And 10th, all treaty nations to ensure no one carries out acts against the treaty. Fine. So here are the three statements. First statement says the treaty prohibits military activities and the disposal of radioactive waste in Antarctica. This is absolutely correct. Second statement says India is one of the founding member. No. The treaty allows for mineral resources activities. This is also incorrect because treaty allows for scientific investigation, not mineral resource related activities. So our answer would be A, that is one only. That brings us to the last question of today's session, and we have picked it from the Business Line newspaper, page number 4, and it talks about the special category states, and title says, are special category states justified? So because your constitution in 5th schedule and 6th schedule talks about some special provisions related to some states, and it has been a consistent theme in UPSC examination. As you can see, in 2022 itself, they have asked a question based on 5th schedule of the constitution, and we have curated a question based on special category states in India. So what is a special category state? As you can understand through this nomenclature itself, it provides a central assistance to the state who are facing geographical or socio-economic disadvantages. So special category status. And what are the benefits? First benefit is that whatever central assistance will come to special category state, it will come 90% of it will be grant and 10% will be loan. While for others, it is 70% loan and 30% grant. So if a state is borrowing from or getting assistance from center, they have to repay only 10% of it. That is the first benefit. Then there are various concessions like income tax, corporation tax. These incentives are given to the industrialists to so that they will go to these states and will develop the industries there for the overall development of the area. And thirdly, these special category states can carry forward the unspent amount. It will not be lapsed. So it will not be termed as lapsed. So they can carry forward this amount. Now, due to these benefits, state recently why this is in news, because the constituent of NDA is Janata Dal United from Bihar and Telugu Desam Party from Andhra Pradesh. And both these states are demanding special category status because in the year 2000, when mineral rich Jharkhand was separated from Bihar, they have lost the majority of their revenue resources. And if you will go by the multi-dimensional poverty index of India, it is one of the poorest state in India. So, and surprisingly, it fulfills all criterias that are required to be accorded the status of a special category state. We will see to it what are those criteria. Same is the situation with Andhra Pradesh. After the bifurcation, the city of Hyderabad, which was a major source of their revenue, went with Telangana. So they are asking a special category status due to this bifurcation and loss of city of Hyderabad. So what is it? It is a classification granted by center to assess the development of a state that face geographical or socioeconomic disadvantage. First introduced in 1969 on the recommendation of 5th Finance Commission, and criteria which was set by Gadgil Mukherjee formula: hilly and difficult terrain, low population density or sizable share of tribal population, strategic location along international border, economic and infrastructural backwardness, and non-viable nature of state finances. Now Bihar, apart from having hilly and difficult terrain, fulfills all other criteria. Now tell me, what is the strategic location of international border which neighbors Bihar? Okay, so what are the constitutional provision? Article 371, various provisions, subclause of articles 371. Now, Indian Constitution does not talk about a special category status, but it has some special provision related to 12 states as mentioned in Article 371. Now, special category status, which was given for the first time by National Development Council on the recommendation of Planning Commission, it includes 11 states. So special category status that was accorded by center is to 11 states as of now. Special provisions as enshrined in Constitution is for 12 states as of now. So let us solve this question. You have to find the correct statements. The statement 1 says the Indian Constitution does not provide for a special category states. This is correct. Second statement says 10 states have special provisions under Article 371. This is incorrect. 12 states have special provisions under Article 371. So your answer would be A, that is 1 only. And that is all for this session. If you have any doubt, kindly text us in the description box or chat box or comment box. Our team will get back to you as soon as possible. Stay tuned for more such update. Thank you so much.